right, it is time to do a checking in on my library haul. Hey everyone, it is Shannon and I'm super excited to be here today and to share with you this video. This is going to be a checking in on library checkouts video. So these are ones when I film where I'm going back to the library and I share how things went. What did I finish? What did I renew? What goes back unread? What am I not sure about? I have 4 piles, so those are probably the four piles. Read, currently reading, returned unread, renewed but not quite yet started. So those are the 4 piles. There's lots of books to get to, so I'm going to get right to it. So first up with the finishes, I finished The Eagle of the Ninth by Rosemary Sutcliff. This was a big win for me in terms of that. It's one of the oldest books on my Goodreads TBR. I can only get it at the physical library. It's a book-to-film adaptation. I started it over 10 years ago and never finished it, so it felt really good to finish it, even though I didn't love it, but I'm really happy to finish it. I talked about this actually in several of these in my most recent weekly wrap-up, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but really thrilled that I finished that. Also finished Beware the Snowman by R.L. Stine. This is a Goosebumps book. Great timing on this one. Great to read a cold weather title in this heat. It's another really hot day today. I'm continuing to read the manga series Descending Stories. This is based on the performing art of Rakugo, and I haven't read it for about a year, so it was great to get back to it. So I read volume 6 and 7, and 8, 9, and 10 are at the library for me, so mini spoiler for my upcoming library haul, and that should hopefully finish the series, which I think it's finished at 10, so that's really exciting. Also finished off Genderqueer. This is a graphic memoir by Maya Kobabe. I talked about this in my most recent wrap-up. Really enjoyed this one. Also read Pass Me By, Gone Fishin' by Kyle Simmers and Ryan Danny Owen. These were both in the LGBTQ plus grab and go bag, and this one I read first because skinny. I really enjoyed the art style in this one. I didn't end up talking about this one too much. I don't know if I would have picked up that it was LGBTQ. There were only a few nods. It does talk at the back, it talks about queer identity, an inverted coming of age story that about understanding queer identity and what happens to the stories we never tell. So it is, you can feel that containedness in this one, and this is about someone who, like, it's later in their life and there's a lot of reflection and also I think I felt like it wasn't super clear, but no, they talked about memory loss and confusion, so that was an interesting lens to read a story about understanding and inverted coming of age. So yeah, so this one, so this is actually the first one that I read from the grab bag grab and go back, and then I read Genderqueer. So those are both going back. Also graphic work, I read Moonshot, an Indigenous comics collection. This is great. It started, the first one though, it threw me off because the first one is an excerpt from, I think, a Daredevil. It says Daredevil Vision Quest. So it was much more like it's part of another work. Ooh, that page is a bit loose. I never know whether to let the library know, like to put a post-it note on it. So that one was but the art is so great, and the storytelling is great. I really enjoyed this. I highly recommend checking it out if you can get your hands on it. I think it's just that first one that's an excerpt, and sometimes the story, I think this story was like this. So it's a lot of variety in the storytelling and, in space, and there's just so many different stories and settings, and I highly recommend it. So it's got lots of different styles. So that was great. It says volume 1 on Goodreads, so I should check and see if if there is a volume 2, if it is available. Also, and this feels like ages ago, this one I renewed and I finished the next day after I went to the library, but I also finished Arusha and the Tree of Wishes by Roshani Chotsky. This is the 3rd book in the Panavan series. I've already finished the 4th book, so this feels like so long ago, but it was just 3 weeks-ish. So I'm returning that. And then the last book that I read and finished is Everything by Linda Berry. This is collected and uncollected comics from around 1979 to 1980. This actually also includes, I think, the entirety of the book girls and boys, because it actually has like copyright and all this stuff here. So and that's the cover of Girls and Boys, and it was this sort of this style, like that half the size thing. And her work is just so fabulous and bizarre. I love this set, this whole series on Two Sisters with Rita and Everett. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of the Two Sisters, which was, I think, ran in a, like, it's just, you know, and it's also, like, some of it is definitely heartbreaking, tragic, bizarre, out there, funny, and just, I love Linda Berry so much, like I really do. And there are a few sort of like there's one sort of how-to, and then there was this hilarious section about like I can't even go into it. Anyway, so I'm thrilled. I'm reading through all of her work, everything I can get my hands on. So I was actually thrilled that Boys and Girls or Girls and Boys was in there, because it's from 1981, and I don't know how available it is. So it was weird, because I'm kind of like, oh, I thought this was like, but it's collected and uncollected, so it kind of makes sense. So those are the returns that I read. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 5 books are going back that I haven't read. They include Head Over Heels by Jill Chalvis. This was in the first grab and go bag for romance. It's available digitally. I haven't started it even after one renewal, so I think I'm going to let it go. I think this is a good place for me to start the series, even though it's not book 1. I like the characters in the setup, but I'm not quite sure. I'm not so much on the contemporary romance. I'm also going to return from that set, The Summer Set by Amy Agresti. Again, I haven't started this. This one's set in the theater. It's also available digitally, so I have marked it on Goodreads and in Overdrive that I'm interested in reading it, but I haven't gotten to it yet, so I'm going to return it. I also didn't get to Live and Let Chai by Bree Baker, which is a pseudonym for Julianne Lindsay. The live show for this was last week. I only got a few chapters in. Was nowhere near being able to finish in time, and they're reading through the entire series. That's at the Who Picked This Book club over at Nicole's channel, so I'm really sad, but unfortunately I didn't finish it. I'll probably jump into the next live show in the chat, because I just love hanging out with everyone, but I didn't finish the book, so I am not going to be able to read the series because I didn't even make it through book 1, so that's a bit sad. And then from the second grab and go bag, I am returning Funny Boy by Shyam Sabaduri. This one I did test read. The story is compelling. The storytelling style wasn't a great fit for me because it's sort of like, you know, it's in the future, so they're sort of like thinking back to the past, but when it's in the past, I think it's in the present, like I think it's present tense, and I could just feel how much pain that there was going to be. There was definitely you could just it told you that things were going to go sour, and then there was you know, this whole, like, you could feel the tension between him and one of his relatives, and I was already hurting before things were going to start to happen. I am curious about this. I thought it was actually quite, in terms of being a Canadian book, it was actually quite not a fast read, it was a regular paced work. Usually Canadian work takes me longer, but this was sort of regular pace, so that's good. It is available digitally, so I have marked it as that I want to read it, and just know that I am not going to get to it right now. And then I also am going to return Gay Men Don't Get Fat by Simon Doonan. This one is the title, and I just feel like I read some of it and it was very silo-y, you know, in terms of I should have like, it's very short, like vignettes of things, but it's very much like while the average gay conversation is interactive and riddled with cheeky inquiries and wicked ripostes, I'm not sure I'm saying that correctly, the equivalent straight conversation consists of a series of tedious, disconnected, chest-beating declamations, and he's particularly talking, I think, about men. It's after a typical gay conversation and a typical straight conversation. And I just felt like that was very siloed, and I think we're sort of getting out of feeling siloed, and I understand I can get the, we are like this, and I feel at home with being the we, but when we go with us and them, which is one step outside of we, I feel like it can go not great places. So, but this is definitely sort of humor, tongue-in-cheek, like witty kind of stuff, which is in short vignettes, and it's not really my thing. And then the whole like desire or holding the ideal of skinny as better than other, I'm not okay with that. Like there was even a part where he talking about how being in Italy and seeing a young skinny woman beside her large toothless grandma and or older woman, and how that is good for her because by comparison she is skinny and young and has teeth. He didn't say has teeth, but I was just like, so it's not a good fit. You know, it's in terms of like wanting witty, you know, that kind of like it's just not, I'm just not great with humor, and I feel like there is always an essence of meanness when it's that kind of witty us and them, like the divide. And I get the desire for inclusion part of that, but when it's saying, you know, there, I don't know, it's a whole philosophical question, you know, about saying yes and saying no, and how like yes to this, does that mean no to that? Anyway, I think generally speaking, I felt like the silo element of it, I feel like we're hopefully as a society trying to get a little away from that. So anyway, so it wasn't a good fit, so I'm letting it go. Wow, I didn't mean to talk about that one so much. Anyway, so yeah, and now on to what I am keeping. There are 4 titles that I'm currently reading. So The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya by Nagaru Tanagawa. This is a light novel, and I am continuing to, I can't believe I haven't finished it, actually. I'm only 60 pages in. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I did talk about it a little bit in my most recent currently reading, so I'll leave it at that. I do want to finish it. It's one of the oldest books on my Goodreads TBR. I do also have the sequel, which is the actual book that's on the oldest on my Goodreads TBR, but if I read either of these, I'm going to consider it as done. So I'm currently reading this, and I'm keeping the sequel just in case I want to continue it. I'm also still reading Mr. Malcolm's List from Suzanne Alain. This is one of the ones from my original romance grab-and-go bag. I haven't read tons of it. I'm only on page like 40 or 53. But I am enjoying it, so I am keeping it. And I did decide to also keep A Little Love by Amanda Prowse, because I think that one still feels very compelling. I was going to return A Little Love, and at the last minute I'm like, no, I'm going to keep it. So that's one start and one haven't like test read. Also Battle Royale. I've made no progress on this in this past little while. And The Elephant to Hollywood. I kept on saying of Hollywood. Elephant to Hollywood. The elephant is a description of where he grew up. As this is by Michael Caine. So these are both oldest on my Goodreads TBR. Made 0 progress on. And now on to the stuff that I test read but haven't quite decided. I've test read, but I haven't really got, you know, into reading it. North by Northwestern, A Seafaring Family on the Deadly Alaskan Waters by Captain Sig Hansen, who is one of the captains who is featured on The Deadliest Catch. He is the captain of the Northwestern. I read this, fell in love with reading, like I just fell right back into the show and, you know, fishing. And I don't know why I have a draw to like nautical things and fishing and stuff like that. I have no idea. It must be just something in my blood somewhere, you know. But yeah, so I loved it. So this was written in 2010, which is around, I think, the 6th season of The Deadliest Catch, and I have watched, I think, up to season 13, and I think they're up to season 17. So whatever I've seen in the show has already happened in this one. So I just test read it, and I was like, oh yeah, renew that. Another memoir, this was from the grab-and-go bag for the LGBTQ+. This is Big Sex, Little Death by Susie Bright, who is an author and activist, I believe. Wow, this was compelling. Very short sections. I think I read the first 1 or 2. Want to read more. I don't know much about the author. The library does not have tons by her. Some collections or some forwards. I think sometimes when it's collections, you don't always find it by searching the library site, like going to Goodreads, and then the library can be better. But this was compelling. I am curious. Tragic past, challenging childhood, some shocking stories, and I wanted to know more instantly. So I am keeping that one. Also from the LGBTQ+ grab-and-go bag, Fire and Ice by Rachel Spangler. This is a romance, a female-female romance between a disgruntled or discredited sports journalist and a curling captain, a skipper. And so that's what on a curling team, the skipper is the captain. Yeah, really enjoyed it. It was third person, I think, which is a little confusing and surprising for romance, especially because it alternates perspective. So it was a little hard to figure out who's who, especially because with the curling team, you introduced to a lot of characters because the team is 4 people. So that was a little bit, but yeah, no, this was a win-win-win-win-win. So I am looking forward to that one. And then I did test read The Neverending Story by Michael End. I'm not sure about this one. This was made into the movie, the very popular movie. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten to, I've read the sort of setup, so it's sort of like, I don't know if the character, it's a kid's fantasy, but it's 400 pages. It's beautiful edition, illustrated, multiple colors in terms of the text, but it kind of feels like it might be sort of like fantasy short stories, like he reads stories in a book, but I thought he went into the book, so I don't know if the book and the film are how close they are. So far, I haven't read anything of the portal fantasy type stuff, and I actually don't know if I am a fan of portal fantasy, to be honest. So I test read this enough to think, okay, it's interesting, but not enough to know if 100% if I want to read it. But I ran out of time, so I just renewed it. So, and then I also test read Meet the Austins by Madeleine L'Engle. This is the first book in the Austen Family Chronicles. The 4th book is the one that I want to read. It's on one of my lists that I'm working on. This is a kid's book. I think it was a contemporary of the time it was written, which I'm not sure. Let's see what it says. I'm not sure if this is going to resonate well with me. 1960. It follows a girl named Vicky who is one of 4 siblings, and which I like sibling stories. She's a kid. They're all kids. And I think her mom stays at home and her dad's a doctor. Her uncle's an artist. There's lots of sort of art and literature references already. I don't know. Like, it just, in some ways it feels fine. In some things I find interesting, but I'm kind of like, why am I reading this? So, and because I'm reading it to read the 4th book, but I can't tell, so I just renewed it, so I'm not sure about that one. And then last up, we have the last book, we're at the last book. So last up is Affliction by Russell Banks. This is a book-to-film adaptation. The film has won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. This is a mystery or a thriller. Very compelling storytelling. Secrets, family secrets, small town. And the protagonist is telling the story of his brother, but it's told in a way that something is, not the best happened or will happen or did happen, or like it's like I just want to know more, but I only read 9 pages and this is like 300 and something or other. So for me, like, these longer narrative books are not, like, it takes me a long time to read them, like these, even Neverending Story as well. Like, so I only kept 3 long narrative, like, straight up fiction. This is kids, but it's 400-page kids, so it'll take me weeks to read. So I chose that. I went in 3s. So I kept, I think, 3 romance and 3 nonfiction biography, like 3 nonfiction biographies, 3 romances, and 3 sort of kids books in combination with what I'm getting from the library. I tried to cap myself at only 3, because reading 1 a week in the 3-week period is well more than I can handle. So with the upcoming library trip, it's most of the stuff is going to be, I shouldn't say too much about it, I'll leave that for that video, but I tried to go, I'm hoping to go a little lighter. I am going to maybe do my own DIY grab bag, and I have given myself some parameters, including no memoir memoirs, because I have 3, no romance, because I have 3, and no adult fiction, because I have 3. Oh, it's actually, you know what, the adult fiction is these 2, plus I have another book that I own that I'm reading, so I'm trying not to do that. So I'm allowed to pick up, let's see if I do this, skinny titles, visual works, nonfiction art books, poetry, plays, curio, that could be dangerous, and anything green, black, or orange for Grinchathon. So, and then I also gave myself the Grinchathon prompts together. Cool, green, black, OJ. Ooh, I can't read that. Happy, quick read, dark. And then Izzy pulled a card, the 4 of Pentacles. Her interpretation was bittersweet, hold on. And there was another word she used for that, or you could choose your own card for that. So I'm bringing those with me, the Grinchathon prompts with me, to see if I can pick some books. I'm going to try and limit it to 6, so there's 7 prompts. I do have something for Together and for Cool already, so I should have marked that. So anyway, so I think I did pretty good. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have read 9. I am returning 5, so 14 of the 26 are going back, and I'm keeping 12. It was going to be 11, but then I wanted to keep this one, so, and I probably won't read this one, but I have this one out, so returning this one and needing to potentially, request it again felt a bit silly. So anyway, it is time for me to go to the library. Wish me luck. I'm trying, this is going to be my set of library books during the Olympics, so I'm trying really hard not to get too many, because I am keeping, what did I say, 12, 5, 7, no, 11, 5, 16 are going back, and I'm keeping 12, I'm picking up 11, and then I'm letting myself pick up 6 more, so 17 plus 14, 31, that's, the ones I'm picking up, the holds should almost all be quick reads, so, well, my goal this summer is to enjoy the library. So if I have lots of books and I'm spoiled for choice, I think that is fine. And I think I did good. More than half are going back, right? 15? 16? I did the math so many times and I didn't write it down. I should have written it down. It's okay. At some point I said it correctly. So yeah, so wish me luck on my library trip, and I will be back with that haul in the relatively near future. Okay, thank you so much for watching.